We've seen improvements. We've seen a committed performance from our players from minute 1 to minute 80. I think it was pretty evident that we was playing with a makeshift spine on the back of some injuries, and we're doing it tough at the moment injury-wise with bodies unavailable. And I can build on the effort of them players today, and I can take great, I don't want to say pride, but great energy from their effort today.
Yeah, you filled us all naming Elliot Keir at full-back, and then he runs out and plays at 6.
Sometimes you've got to try and...
Was that just a trick to try and pull the ball over Grix's eyes a little bit?
Grixie just said you got me with that one as well, so, but we've got young Joey Burton out there at full-back who, I believe he's going to be a good player, but he's still a kid, he's still a baby. He's played a few games on the wing for us this year and gone particularly well, but when he came to the club he was a full-back by trade, and I still believe he can be a good full-back. But again, on the back of one session, in a makeshift spine, it's difficult.
The first 20 minutes, do you think that was possibly the difference?
I think the difference was, and it's full credit to Halifax, and I just said it to Grixie then, we made 3 errors in the first half and they capitalised on all 3. So 18-0 up, there's a couple of errors from Joey, and just as we did with George last week, we forgive him, and there's nobody throwing him under the bus. We're putting arms around our young people and trying to nurture them, but there's a couple of errors there, and then on the back of a penalty they've scored a try as well. So just on the back of, I think every point they scored today was gifted by us, and that's what we've got to get out of our game, and then we've got to polish ourselves in good ball as well.
There was a definite lift when George Flanagan got out there as well.
George is infectious, some people call him other words as well, but George is infectious, he's a great bloke round the group. Sometimes he lets it boil over a little bit too much, and he gets too energised and too highly strung, but I can't fault his enthusiasm and I can't fault his commitment to the cause, and it brings us energy when he comes off the bench.
And have you pulled through with a clean bill of health for who was out there?
No, so you'll have seen at half time we had to make a change. So Ben Evans, he passed his concussion test in the first half, but then felt sick at half time, and when he stood up he was a bit unsteady on his feet, so the doctors crossed him off as a concussion, and he'll miss at least the next 11 days.
How late in the day was Jordan rolled out, Mark?
I think anybody who watched the Barra game knew that Jordan was carrying an injury, but I tell you what, he's as tough as teak as the kid. He's been carrying that ankle knock now for a couple of weeks, and again, in typical Jordan Lilly style, he said to us on Tuesday, I'll be all right. But we just wanted to get him checked out and get him scanned, so we did so Thursday, and we had a look at him on Thursday night again, and it just wasn't right. I didn't want to risk Jordan in the last 10 minutes and then we'd be down a substitute and in the mire, so I made the call. We've got his scan results back which show something now, so he'll see the consultant on Monday morning, and we'll take it from there.
No current ETA at this moment in time?
No, not yet.
When you're taking that into consideration, obviously Jordan not featuring a makeshift spine, obviously I think it goes unnoticed, Matt, there's a lot of effort out there, a lot of opportunities on the Halifax line, and just, does it feel that effort's not being rewarded on the scoreboard, just coming away with that one try? We probably didn't get what we deserved. I thought their try in the second half was a knock-on. We've been held up over the line by a really, really good tackle, a Herculean an effort on their line from the Halifax defenders, and again, full credit to them for that. But we've knocked on twice over the line as well. So when you put into context what they've got on the back of our errors, and then what we've bombed ourselves by not being as good as we could be with the ball, that's why I'm heartened. I'm never going to sit here and say I'm happy by losing. It's just not in my nature. And it hurts that we've lost the game. But I'm seeing enough in my players to know that we're going to be all right. We're coming through a really, really tricky patch. We're down on bodies, so after today I've got 18 fit senior players, and some more of the kids might get a shot. But as you've seen, we're going to look after our kids. I'm not going to throw anybody out there to the wolves, and I'm not going to let anybody's career and confidence be ruined by playing them when they're not ready, or when they're emotionally not ready either, as well as physically. So
we'll keep doing it tough, we'll stay tight, but I tell you what, you know, we'll stick together as well.
George Flanagan Jr. obviously didn't feature today. Was that the plan, just to bed him in easy or not?
Yeah, what we did a couple of weeks ago when we knew George was very close to making his debut is we put a plan together. And again, you know, we're not just down on playing staff, we're down on other staff as well, you know. So we've had an academy game this morning, you know, and my cap's in the loft to Lee Beattie because he's been on the bus at 9 o'clock this morning to Warrington, and we had to put an academy team out. So yes, George featured for the academy team because he can, and you know, said player can't. So Joe Burton can't play for the academy, he's too old. So we've got to make sure we're smart. We've got to make sure when these young players play, it's right for the young players. And again today, Joey Burton's a young bloke, but he's not as young as George, and he's not as young as some of the others that are very, very close. So to put a young fullback into a makeshift spine is an even bigger task than it is to put him into a structured and a senior spine. And we're not willing to, when we don't need to put him in that position.
On this 5-game winless run now, Matt, do you think there's unfair pressure, unfair criticism on the team? I mean, you look at the Championship, you look at, I'll use York as an example, you know, York are on a similar winless run. That might change against Newcastle tomorrow, but there doesn't seem to be a fraction of the criticism being labelled at James Ford and the York City Knights.
I think everything gets magnified when you talk about Bradford Bulls, doesn't it? You know, we're all right with that. We all understand what wearing this badge means to the people that pay their hard-earned money and come and watch the game. And I have no problem with people having an opinion. You know, they can have the opinion, but when I look at my team, they've given me confidence that we can come out of this. And you go on about 5-game, you know, losing streaks. If you have a look at Super League, which is where everybody in this division playing here this weekend aims to be, Hull FC, Warrington, Leeds Rhinos, all massive, massive clubs that have been on 5-game losing streaks at some point throughout this year. It's sport. And the only way you come out of a 5-game or a 4-game losing streak is to work ridiculously hard and to keep turning up for each other and to stay really tight. And then your fortunes change on the back of the endeavour and the effort that you produce. And I think we're starting to see that.
With where the season is now, Mark, the playoffs probably a bridge too far. What do you do now moving forward in the final games? Do you look to give your Miles Lawfords, your Marcus Greens, George Flanagan Jr. more game time, which ultimately can benefit the club 23 onwards?
I know it's boring, I know it's an old cliche, but we're not looking at playoffs, we're not looking at anything other than we'll review today, and then next week we've got a tough game against Workington. The league says Workington are in trouble, but I think the Workington Town Club are going through some hard times at the moment, and when you're going through hard times, it normally galvanises people. So we're under no illusions that Workington will come to Odsal next week, full of energy, trying to pick us off. So we'll dust ourselves down, we'll review today, and then we'll have a look at Workington. And when we get to the last round of the season, if we're in the playoffs, we're in the playoffs, and if we're not, we'll reassess and look at where we're at. But all I'm looking at now is trying to get this group of players through the current slump that we're in, and that starts by Workington next week.
Yeah, obviously I were at Newcastle a few weeks ago, Mark. There wasn't really any positive to take from that, but yeah, I felt that it was a decent effort today. Like you allude to it earlier, but do you feel like there is a real base to build off today where there maybe wasn't in some of the previous games in this winless run? Because I think it was a pretty decent effort, really. I
wouldn't disagree with you. I think it's been well documented about the game that you're on about, and I don't want to go back and talk about that, but you're not wrong in what you're saying. I thought we saw shoots, and I said it last week, we saw shoots at Barrow. That was a lot better than Barrow. Yes, we need to be better with the ball, and we will do, but we're going to have to, first of all, have a look at Jordan and find out just how long he's going to be out, and then we need to make some decisions on the back of that. Mixed has spoken there about Miles Lawford. It is very, very close, and it might be that he gets a run in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, I don't know. But at this moment in time, we've got 18 fit first team players. That's what we've got, and we named Liam Tyndall in the side this week, and it's Joel Reg, it's nobody's fault, and Leeds have got every right to do so, but they called him back on Friday afternoon, and they've took him to France today. I don't know if he's played or not tonight, but it's their player, they've got every right to do so. So there's no hard feelings on it, there's no excuses. It's just when you're down and when things are going wrong and when things are tough, it just seems like everything goes against you at times. And again, I'll say it forever and a day, the only way to get through it is to keep working hard.
How hard is that? You mentioned obviously Jordan now. How hard is it? I mean, obviously Elliot can certainly play in the halves, but how hard is it not to have two specialist halves on the pitch at one time? It's a big ask to ask someone to drop in there that isn't a regular standoff or remark.
Absolutely. It's a big ask to do it against a quality outfit like we've just played as well. You know, I think Joe Keys got the man of the match at the end, and I thought he fairly deserved the man of the match award. I thought it was outstanding all day. But you know, we're playing against two quality halfbacks there with you know, an outside back who's filling in at half, and he's done it for his country, which is why we went with that today. You know, he's played internationally at halfback for Wales, so we know we can do it. And then we've got a young bloke at full-back, so of course it makes it difficult, but it's where it's at, it's where we're at, and we've just got to get through it.
Was that, there were a couple of key moments at the end of the first half, weren't there? Because obviously there was Ryan Miller walking on the line, and he was dinged forward, it looked like it potentially could have gone backward, and obviously they got the try right on half-time. Were they key moments? Because you go from potential 10-6, 16-0 deficit at half-time, and those points make all the difference, don't they?
Yeah, and that's what I'm alluding to a little bit earlier, you know. I haven't seen it back, so I'll have to have a look at the Ryan Miller one back. It didn't look like there was much wrong with it to me, but I'm going to be biased and say that. So, you know, the last one of the game, the first thing Joey Burton says to me at half-time is I should have kicked that straight over the fans there. If he does that, you're dead right, it's 10-6, you know, and then, as I say, you know, the Herculean effort to hold us up over the line when it looks all on for a try in the second half, and, you know, we've dropped the ball over the line, and we've created opportunities, we're just not clinical enough to take them at this moment in time. That comes with repetition, hard work, and we will keep doing that and we'll get there.
You mentioned Joburg there, obviously, like, it were a tough one for him. Obviously he dropped the ball for the second try, and the third one he was unlucky when it bounced for him. You mentioned a few really good games on the wing, obviously I remember getting the 2 tries at Whitehaven, but in some ways, does that help him grow almost when he has a game that's tough and things don't go quite right for him? No one's going to throw him under a bus, everyone will work with him, and in a way is that sort of a more better learning curve for him if he hadn't scored like 2 walk-in tries, for example, the tough times.
Yeah, it's character building, you know, and that's exactly what we've done with young George Flanagan as well. You know, he didn't have his best game last week at Barrow. It's character building, and it's how he reacts to that, and it's how Joe reacts to that. You know, Joe's not surrendered, he's not rolled over, he's not, you know, folded like a deck of cards. He's stuck at it all day as the kid, and, you know, as I say, we've got enough to work on with these players to know that we can get somewhere.
Simon offered obviously some praise for you guys after in his post-match interview, but he did say that he felt that largely facts were comfortable. Do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think that you gave him more problems than maybe he's giving you credit for?
I don't think anybody was uncomfortable throughout the game. You know, my player said to me at half-time, we're really comfortable with this, although we're 18-0 down, or whatever it was at half-time. My players were really, really comfortable. You know, again, on the back of our errors, they've scored points. Other than that, you know, the game was high quality. You know, up until, I think, 10 minutes before half-time, it was somewhere near 100% completion for both teams. I've just done the workings out there, and both teams were 83 and 85% in the first half, and it was up in the 80s again for the second half. So that's high quality rugby league against a high quality team, and I don't think we looked to off the pace.
Simon was pretty annoyed with the red card for Joe Martin. He felt that Martin was kind of ganged up on a bit with a couple of punches and even a potential eye gouge. Have you seen anything off that incident? Are you worried that there might be sort of a kickback in terms of charges? Obviously when the RFL review the game, or what have you said anything about that?
No, as I said, you know, I think it was Joe Keys that kicked the ball into touch for a penalty, and it smashed our monitor and one of our laptops as well. So we didn't have a thing. So I haven't seen it back. You know, I'd be lying if I said I had. So I'll have a look at it, and if I've got any chats to have with any of my players, I will do.
Next one, thanks a lot, Matt.